Good morning. This is Mornings with Michael, brought to you for informational, educational, and sometimes entertainment purposes. Hope everyone had a great weekend. It's time to start the work week and get to it. So without further ado, let's jump right into the news. World news. The People's Bank of China said it kept one-year medium-term lending facility rate unchanged at 2.75% while injecting 125 billion won, $17.96 billion of liquidity. Onto consumer sector breakdown. Aristocrat Leisure Limited agreed to acquire Neo Games and GMS for $29.50 a share in an all-cash deal for lottery game technology company in a deal valued at $1.2 billion. Activist investor Engaged Capital has built 6.6% stake in Shake Shack, SHAK, including swaps and planning to run a proxy fight for 3 board seats, the Wall Street Journal reported. Freyr Battery, FREY, quarter one EPS lost 9 cents versus estimate 29 cents. Energy, Oniok, OKE, agreed to acquire Magellan Midstream Partners, MMP, and cash and stock deal valued at $18.8 billion, including assumed debt. On to financials, U.S. bank deposits fell to $17.15 trillion from $17.164 trillion week over week, and the U.S. bank loans leases fell by $15.7 billion in the week ended May 3rd. Deposits at small U.S. banks edge up to $5.24 trillion in week ending May 3rd. Versus $5.22 trillion in the prior week. Fed data is not seasonally adjusted. Discover Financial Services, DFS, credit card delinquency rate 1.38 at April end versus 1.40% at March end. Card charge-offs near 1.78 at April end versus 1.61 at March end. H&R Block, HRB, and Intuit, INTU, which does TurboTax, looking lower after Wall Street Journal reported the Biden administration is considering creating a government-run alternative to TurboTax and H&R Block, drawing resistance from Republicans and companies fearing a loss of business. Healthcare, an FDA advisory board panel narrowly recommended approval of Sarepta SRPT gene therapy for Duchenne muscular dystrophy, DMD, by a vote of 8-6 last Friday, ruling that the potential benefit to patients outweighs a long list of concerns from agency reviewers. Illumina, ILMN, won a partial victory against Carl Icahn after ISS recommended that investors support but one of its board nominees, including CEO Francis D'Souza. Enzo Biochem, ENZ, filed for a mixed shelf of up to $150 million. Surmodics, SRDX, files 200 mixed security shelf. Veru, VERU, files to sell 5 million shares of common stock for holders. Onto industrials and materials. Newcrest Mining, NCMGY, has agreed to a $17.5 billion takeover of Newmont, NEM, in the gold mining sector. Newcrest said it recommends shareholders vote in favor of Newmont's offer, which comprises 0.400 of its own shares for Newcrest share. DuPont, DD, upgraded to buy from hold at Deutsche Bank, raised to a target of $80. Venator, VNTR, reaches agreement to enter prepackaged Chapter 11, significantly reduced debt. Apple, AAPL devices to occupy 90% of TSMC 3 NM capacity, 2023. Micron, MU, Western Digital, WDC. According to TrendForce, DRAM and NAND flash prices are expected to fall further in the second quarter of 2023 due to weak server shipments and high inventory levels. Nintendo and TDOY mentioned positively in Barron saying that the Super Mario Brothers movie was has given Nintendo a big, massive hit outside the gaming space, but its release of The Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom, oh my, on Friday should be Nintendo's biggest software release in years. Meta Platforms, META, upgraded to buy from hold at Loop Capital and raised target to 320 from 220. And Alphabet, Google, GOOGL, downgraded to hold from buy at Loop Capital and kept target unchanged at 129. And that is our news. Take a quick look at share our screen. We'll go around the horn here first. We'll look at one of the issues that was up strong on Friday. It's up another 299 today. I believe it's today. Let's refresh our screen. Yes, it's gapped up today, up another 24%. While we're at it, let's look at Shoals. Shoals is up again today, another close to 3%. Look at the dollar. Dollar is off 0.27% this morning. Look at the 10-year yield. 10-year yield continues its bounce. It's up against this declining 50-day moving average. We'll have to continue to watch that. We'll look at the indexes, see what effect it had on the indexes. Usually it has a bigger effect on the NASDAQ. We'll just see if this continues up, if it breaks out. $20-year gapped up today, up 2.19%, up against its 200-day moving average. Take a look at our 1 to 3 year bonds are pulling back, so the yield should be up slightly. Gold is bouncing off of its decline to its 20-day moving average. Take a look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin is up, bouncing up today off of its low levels last week, up 4.4%. Silver is maintaining steady, bouncing a little bit off of its 50-day moving average. Ethereum bumping its head up against its 200-day moving average as well, is up 6.5%. Take a look at the VIX volatility index. It did bounce this morning. It bounced off up to its 20-day moving average and pulled back here. There's some thought of that the zero dated options in the VIX may be part of the reason that the VIX has been unseasonably low. We'll continue to watch that. Take a look at the S&P 500. It pulled back in the morning. That's why the VIX was up in the morning. And when the VIX pulled back, the S&P 500 is bouncing. It's still staying in a relatively tight range. Let's just draw the line. So this is a range that we've been in since the end of March. We'll continue to keep our eyes on that. The NASDAQ, we felt it was going to pull back slightly on a hanging man pattern on Friday. It's up today. Even though the bonds are up, the NASDAQ remains pretty strong. So we'll continue to watch that. Dow Jones was down this morning. It's bouncing off of its 50-day moving average. Small caps, Russell 2000 is as strong as issued today. Go figure. Where all the banks are, it's up strongly. It's up 1.65%, hitting its head on its declining 50-day moving average. So let's take a look at our ETFs. Energy is up this morning. You'll look at our oil prices. Oil prices are up 1.76%. Our exploration issues are up. This is up like 2.6%. That's pretty strong. See if it can get above the declining 20-day moving average. Utilities pulling back. Communications is where Google and Meta are. It's bouncing up. Look at Meta, see if that price target, yeah, that's bouncing up there. Had a big gap in earnings. Pulled back here slightly. This is very strong. Just pulled back to its 10-day moving average. Hasn't gone back any further. This is a very strong consolidation. And Google, which is downgraded, take a look at that. It's pulling back slightly, nothing too much to get worried about. Real estate remains right at about its 50-day moving average. Look at our building materials, bouncing of its 200-day moving average. Strong pullback here. See if it can regain its footing. Industrials are bouncing. That is feeling that industrials may be taking over here for a little bit. We'll continue to watch that. Healthcare sector continues to struggle. Financials picking up a little bit, nothing to get excited about. Consumer, it's just kind of trading in a range. Nothing much happening there. Look at technology. Technology remains strong. To see if it can break out of this pattern. If so, that would be very good for the technology stocks. There are semiconductors. They're bouncing off of the 20-day moving average, now slightly above its 50-day moving average. To look at a couple of issues here. NVIDIA is bouncing off of its 20-day moving average, still in a pretty good range. AMD is bouncing as well. Look at our airlines. Still remain under 200-day moving average as we continue to say nothing good happens below the 200-day moving average. Transport, not much happening there. Software is bouncing, still remains in a pretty good range. It's right around this buy area. So we'll continue to watch that. Whatever our leading software, Salesforce had a good week last week, had a strong rally. HubSpot continues to rally off of its earnings. ServiceNow bouncing, hasn't been really that strong, but continues. Look at biotech. Wow, look at that. 2-day sell-off, then biotech is really bouncing back here. Look at the IBB, biotech is bouncing as well. And look at our home builders, our last one, the ETFs we're going to look at today. Still no, not too much. As we can see, it's made a big move. We have a little bit of consolidation here that'll be healthy. Let's take a look what's trending today, what the professional money managers are moving money into. Let's pull up my handy chart here. This is Activision. Continues to propel off of the bottom. It's up 1.5%. We looked at Arai earlier. Amphastar Pharmaceutical, very strong. Their earnings came out at 32%, and that's where everything started to move. Our shoe company On. It's in a kind of a tight range. Brazilian glassmaker, Tecnoglass, continues to be strong. Nice move today, up 5%. Ryanair, bouncing. Their earnings are in 7 days. Relatively low volume. We'll just continue to watch it. The Trade Desk, not much movement there. Let's take a look. What else we got here that is actually really moving today? NeoGames. Oh, actually, Sarepta, which Therapeutics, which was in the news, up 28%. They got an approval. Monday in the software area, Israeli software company up 14.38%. Just looked at NeoGames. NeoGames up 112%. Earnings are up 767%, with earnings surprise of 467%. Pretty amazing. HEICO in the aeronautics area, they're up 8.27%. Albemarle, they're the one that is big in for batteries, EV batteries, up 5.3%. Chinese Baidu, up 6.5%. Take a look at Shake Shack from that news. Yeah, they're up 9.43%. NICE, Israeli software company, helping propel the software sector today, up 3.4%. Icon PLC, Irish provider of clinical research services, up big 3.27%. And finally, Magellan Midstream Partners, gapping up 14%. Pretty amazing move. Their earnings came out at 23%. I'm really not sure what is happening here. Oh, that sale that we talked about in the news. This is all where this is coming in. So let's take a look at where money is moving out of this morning. Oniok, natural gas, down 8.4%. We can look at the U.S. natural gas, kind of underwater, at some of the lowest pricing in years. Bluebird Bio was down big, it's recovered a lot, so this is positive. Continue to watch that. Northwest Pipe, the steel pipe making company, is down 1.66%. Elite Bio down 1.9% on poor earnings. First Solar was up big last week. A slight pullback, nothing to be too worried about. H&R Block under pressure from the government coming to compete against them, down a little over 2.4%, but this has been a really poor trending stock. Marine Products down 2.2%. Soho down 4.6%. Green Plains Partners down 1.5%. See if interesting, we got Shockwave Medical off $20, down 7%. It was up big last week. Take a quick look, see if we can find any news. Shockwave Medical launches new coronary IVL catheter in an all-female Empower study. I don't know if that would really move that, but we'll continue to watch that if we have any updates. That's our report for today. Thanks for tuning in. This is One Mornings with Michael for informational and educational purposes only. Hope everybody has a great start to their week. Continue going after your activities to meet up with your goals. We'll talk to you later.